Hello, my name is Dean Contover. Thank you for watching The Current Buzz today. Today we have a guest here from the city of Lowell. He's the mayor of Lowell, Sokhary Chau. He's Cambodian American. We're going to talk a little about his history in regards to coming to the United States. We also have Dimitrios Mattheos now. And so we're going to talk about their trip to Greece. Lowell, Massachusetts, a city of 115,000 people, population, is sister city to a city in Greece called Kalamata. You might have heard of Kalamata Alos. Well, that's where they got the name from. So we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about to Sokhary about his experiences as a young boy in the former Cambodian regime of the Khmer Rouge. And the Khmer Rouge are bad dudes. And he was threatened when he was a young boy in regards to living, in regards to his life. So we're going to talk to him about that real quick and how he aspired to better himself in the United States of America. And I think he's appreciative of being in the United States. I mean, did you ever expect to be mayor? When you were 8 years old, when you came to this country, did you expect to be mayor of Lowell, Massachusetts?
Absolutely not. First of all, good morning, Dean. Thank you for having me on the show, and good morning to all the Chelmsford residents, and Dimitrios Mattheos, that's Cambodian, for saying hello to all the Cambodian. I'm sure there are many Cambodian in Chelmsford, and this TV show is probably viewed by people in Lowell, where we have a large Cambodian population, as well as probably on YouTube and all over the world as well. And on my recent trip to Kalamata, Greece, with Mr. Mattheos here, pick up a few Greek words. I want to say yasas to everyone, to all the Greek viewers out there. So to cover, we share so many wonderful history together in Lowell and in the United States, and that is the history of immigrants come to the United States, like you mentioned, to have a better life, to have better opportunities, to have good qualities of life. And never in my years, even in the United States, I've been in the United States now for closely 40 years, I never thought of getting into politics, never mind becoming the mayor of a great city like Lowell. And it's almost now looking in the present, as well as looking in hindsight to the past few months and couple of years. It's almost meant to be for me to be mayor in the city of Lowell, because we have so many Asian American city, and Lowell is built by the hands of many immigrants, and I don't think that I could have been mayor in any other towns or city in the United States. So that's why I say it's Lowell is just that wonderful, and if anybody that can become mayor, I mean anybody come from all over the world, it would have to be a city like Lowell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Lowell has the second largest Cambodian community in the country. Is that correct?
Correct. We have the second largest Cambodian population in the United States. The first is Long Beach, California. Right. And I noticed some kind of friendly competition with California, Long Beach, and Lowell, just to see, in terms of how we do in the United States. Long Beach, California, of course, that's a huge region. Yeah. And I haven't looked at the official number, but their population in Long Beach, it's got to be in the hundreds of thousands of Cambodian American. And in Lowell, we only have about 20 to 25,000 Cambodian.
So that would be basically a quarter?
About a quarter. But in terms of per capita, and in terms of how involved we are with the city, of course, Lowell, hands down, the Cambodian American in Lowell, we are very engaged, very involved, and we're getting national and international attentions and that speaks volume. Like I mentioned before, it's because the city of Lowell, as a whole, even before any of us got into politics, many of the leaders in the city, they really work together with our community, with all the community for that matter, and make sure that we all integrate, we all work together, make sure that Lowell is our city, Lowell is our home.
That's what it's about. And half the people in Chelmsford came from Lowell, basically. So I just want to tell you that for a little history.
Thank you.
Lowell has a Plan E-type government. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. You came from Cambodia. You went to the refugee camp in Thailand. I'm giving you history. If it's wrong, just. And your father was a captain in the Cambodian army. He was immediately killed. The Khmer Rouge killed him. The Pol Pot regime came into power at that time, and eventually was driven out. Your mother had 7 children. Are they all in the United States, all 7 of them?
Yes, we are fortunate that, and thanks to my mom for keeping all of us alive through the Khmer Rouge years, which many of the...
That's very important, kept alive and fed.
Yes.
7 children.
7 children.
That's really right. You came to the United States, you attended Phillips Academy.
Yes.
And then you went to college in Minnesota. Why Minnesota?
I like the cold.
You're not kidding. It's a different cold in Minnesota.
It's really cold. And my first year, my freshman year, at that time, I got financial aid and scholarship to go to McAllister. I never visited the campus before. We just applied, and I was accepted. And the orientation was towards the end of August. And when I arrived, actually, it snowed.
You're kidding me.
The last weekend of August, it actually snowed, and you're in Minnesota when it snowed in late August.
It's in the central part of the state?
It's McAllister is located in the city called St. Paul.
Oh, St. Paul, Minnesota. Okay, right next to Minneapolis.
Yeah, St. Paul is right next to Minneapolis.
Twin Cities.
And that's why they call it Twin Cities.
Yeah. Interesting. So what we're going to talk about, sister city, why you went to Greece. Lowell and Kalamata, Greece, were sister. Lowell, Massachusetts, I should mention, the United States, was sister city with Kalamata of Greece. Kalamata is a big city in the Peloponnese section of Greece, right, Dimitri?
Yes.
And I want to know how this came about. Why Lowell?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting us here today to keep up to date of what took place with this wonderful delegation that was created. The Honorable Mayor of Lowell, our great city.
They treated him like royalty, right?
We had a ball, to say the least.
I wish I was there.
However, this whole thing started in 2018.
Okay.
When the then Mayor Samaras was the mayor. And after the parade, we went to have a little Greek Day lunch at a restaurant in Boston. And while we were having a little ouzo, as you know, he indicated to me, he asked me if I could help him find a city to make a sisterhood with Lowell.
Excuse me 1 second. Ouzo is the milk of the Greek gods, so I just want to let you know.
I love that. I milk the Greek gods. Water.
Little history.
He knows about that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I like it on ice, though.
However, I said, Bill, you caught me off guard. I poured the second ouzo, and then I said to him, Bill, tell me where your ancestors come from, your parents. He says, Kalamata. I said, that's it. Kalamata is the city. Kalamata has the same population as Lowell. Kalamata has colleges and universities as Lowell. And I said, Kalamata also makes the good olive that we all enjoy.
Yeah.
And then he starts laughing. And then I stood up and I said, Bill, this, what you will do, you honor the memory of your parents who came here like me without anything, and now look, you are the #1 citizen of the city. He says, and he stood down and he almost cried. So that's Dimitri, and that's how we started. So as we start being a member of the Hellenic American Societies of New England, I brought it into the president, who is Bill Kafkas.
Right.
The president. And we decided that Bill will take a look at the end of Greece. And he went to Kalamata a few times, 5 times.
But is he from Kalamata?
No, he's not.
Okay.
He comes from Peloponnesus. But, you know, Bill is an established person who has known a lot of people around.
Yeah, he's a businessman.
And that's how we started. And then he got in touch with the mayor. The mayor agreed. In the meantime, they had to vote. The city council voted. They voted in Kalamata. And all of this, it took a lot of time. But in the meantime, what's happening is the COVID comes along. So everything had slowed down.
That's correct.
And, you know, this year, when everything was loosened up a little bit, the mayor, through his efforts, made it happen. And, of course, the cooperation from Kalamata was excellent. The people there, they were delighted to see that we, you know, go to Kalamata.
Yeah.
And
Good.
It took a great effort on behalf of the Federation of the Hellenic American Societies under the leadership of Bill Kafkas.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong. Most of the Greek Americans in Greater Lowell are from the Kalamata area, southern Peloponnese.
Not most. Some of them. They are Macedonians, they are Spartans.
From the islands,
yeah. No, I personally, I would like to thank all of those people who when we did the album, created an album, a historic album for Lowell and Kalamata, contributed. And I would personally, and on behalf of every one of us involved in the delegation, thank them for their support. And the results are here already shown, but also will be in the future. As we will go along, we'll explain to you why.
Kalamata, the delegation comprises of, we already talked about Bill Kafkas, Bill Samaras, right? Our former mayor. Then Ed Kennedy, Senator Kennedy.
Correct, Senator Ed Kennedy. Yeah. And we have other great partners became part of the delegation.
Right.
Arlene Packett from University of Massachusetts Lowell.
Vice Chancellor.
Vice Chancellor, and the Dean of Students, Miss Judy Hogan from the Essex Community College. Yeah. So it's a wonderful delegation, and as Dimitri said earlier, and I want to give them commendation and applaud to the Hellenic American community for really supporting the delegation. Without Bill Kafkas, without Dimitri, and many other members on that organization, this would never happen. The way it started, as Dimitri mentioned, it was former Mayor Bill Samaras and the Greek community, and it was put on hold. And when Mr. Kafkas approached me if I want to be involved, it was really a no-brainer, because I look at it as an immigrant experience. The Greek immigrants came to Lowell.
That's correct.
Much like many other immigrant groups, you have the Irish, the Italian, the Hispanics,
Polish.
The French and Polish, and then lately it's us Asian American, and we came here with dreams, right? With dreams that we talked earlier, to build better lives, and in the process, you have to build a city too. And we're talking about the Greek delegation here, and then we can't thank the Greek community enough, helping build Lowell to what it is. And 2 or 3 things that really make the Asian immigrant experience and the Greek American experience very, very similar is that we really value our tradition, our culture, our history, and then our families and education. We want to preserve our culture.
Thousands of years.
Goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
And we want to preserve our language, our culture here in America and here in Lowell. As you know, we try to speak our own language to our children. So the sister city relationship and with Lowell and with Kalamata, it's very important is to establish ties to our old country, to our old history, to have student exchanges, to have commercial exchanges, to have cultural, and also tourism, to be able to have to make it easier for us to travel back and forth, to know people. As you know, when you travel anywhere, if you know somebody in that country or in that area, it's a lot more welcoming. And I think the sister city relationship with Lowell and Kalamata will produce that. And the members of this delegation, we all very, very committed to it. We're dedicated. It's not just a relationship on paper. It's not just ceremonial. as you can see, this is the first sister-city relationship where the members of the delegation and the members of the community are very active, and so are the members in Kalamata, the delegation, they're very active. They want to see things happen. So we're able to put together these members, different members of different organizations and stakeholders to go visit Kalamata. And I have to tell you, Greece is such a wonderful country.
That's what I was going to ask.
Beautiful people,
Would you go back?
I would definitely go back on my own this time.
Not
with the delegation.
More vacation, or holidays as they call it.
We packed 30 days worth of visits, meeting people, experience into about 6 days.
How many people in the delegation like Greece? How many people enjoyed it?
I think 100%.
100%, okay.
100% love it.
And you had your family there, right? Your child, one child, or
my son. I took my.
How did he like it?
He loved it. His name is Matthew Chau, and as you know, in Greece that would be Mateo Chaukalopoulos. And he loved. He's 15 years old. It was unfortunate that we had to take him out of school for 1 week. That's a joke. Yeah. Because he'll learn.
No doubt about it.
He had learned in 1 week in Greece than he would learn in a lifetime.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about the trip because I don't have a lot of time. So.
Well, I mean, if I may say,
you may jump in.
He doesn't like to go with the delegation because he never had a minute to breathe. The schedule was so tight that I can understand why. However, we start going to the Acropolis and then go after that to the museum in Athens.
Okay.
And it was so busy, they enjoyed it so much on the Acropolis that we didn't have enough time to go to the museum.
So, yeah, that's the whole thing. Tell me what you thought about the Acropolis, because to me, when I was a young boy and I saw the Acropolis with my parents and stuff like that, and it was built 2,500 years ago, and they built this thing, because the Acropolis is the Parthenon sits on the Acropolis, for people that don't know. And the building that you saw was the Parthenon, and you were up there for how long? And you could see the city, and the thing is, you may not know this, but you cannot build a building over 10 stories high in Athens to block the view of the Acropolis. I don't know if you know that.
I did that's amazing, and I think Acropolis means something else like city outside of the city. But to me, it's like the seat of the gods. We talked about the gods back earlier with Uzo, but I think Acropolis is really like the city of the gods. It's just way up there. It touches the cloud. It's majestic. It's magnificent. We were just in awe at the architecture, the look and feel with it. I just can't imagine what it was like during that time in Greece.
You can have a 3-credit course on the architecture.
Yeah.
I won't talk about it now, but I can tell you about the architecture. But you could do a 3-credit course in college just on the architecture, on the columns, and so forth.
It's just amazing.
And we should get those Eglin marbles back from
I hope so.
British, right?
Yeah.
And,
we all hope so.
They should bring it. So you went to the museum, right?
At the museum.
Yeah, the new museum.
No, we never made the museum.
We didn't go in. We step our feet in front of it, but we never actually didn't have time to go in.
Next time. They have a good cafeteria upstairs. I just want to let you know next time. But in fact, I'll tell you where to go, and I'll tell you where to dine. The Plaka is really nice. Did you go down to the Plaka, walk around?
We walked around at the city center areas.
Yeah,
I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know what we did. So he's bragging about knowing downtown Athens.
We did have.
I always go to Plaka when I'm in Athens.
I think that trip was a teaser.
A teaser
to Greek environment.
Right.
But most of the time, we spent a lot of times in meetings. We went to Athens. We met with at the parliamentary.
Oh, okay. You went to the Greek Parliament. Did you see the changing of the guard in front of the Greek Parliament?
We did, and it's amazing. They're very, very disciplined.
You could go there at night, like at 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're changing the guard.
Sure. And it was a great, not to overlook the parliamentary building, but very, very secure. That security guard. We need to produce passports, check-ins before we can get inside the building. So it's very, very well guarded. And as it should be, when you walk in, it's not just about politics, just like many state buildings. But inside the building, those beautiful, beautiful paintings.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Beautiful statue. And the first thing that I noticed when we walked through the lobby, there was a big statue of Pericles, and which we have one in our Lowell City Hall as well, the head of Pericles.
We should have it in McDonald's too. So, Pericles in every McDonald's.
It's very, very. When I saw that, and it's even everything that I saw in during our trip, there was just really a lot of connection, a lot of history to see, like Lowell. And I'm fortunate, even before I joined politics, I have Greek American friends, and I kind of learned Greek history and Greek customs a little bit already before I joined politics. And of course, all of us that go through education here in the United States, we learn about Greek history in the books. And I tell you that the Acropolis, when we saw it live like that, my mind kind of flashed back to the history books when we saw the big building of the Acropolis in the history books that jumped out, and it's just different. It's just amazing how that is. But just that.
What about Ed Kennedy, Senator Kennedy? What do you think of the Acropolis?
I'm sure he loved it. Yeah, I'm sure he loved it. And
you know what? I gave him some information, but growing Greece, I'll tell you what it is.
Sure. No. Include in the delegation too. Like of course we have the official delegate members like Senator Ed Kennedy and former Mayor Bill Samaras, but their spouses went too. Joyce and Sue, they both went, and they were great. We have a big variation in ages in the members. So from my son, who's 15 years old, to much elder people like myself even, and something about Greece that sort of brought us to life, meaning gave us a lot of energy. We were walking most of the time. Whenever we go, we walk, and everybody kept up.
Did you know what I told Ed Kennedy? The advice I told him? I said, if you want to get in good with the Greeks, ask them when they did their military time and where they did it. That's what I told him. Because he was in the Greek military before he came to the United States.
Yes.
So I know that, and he spent it up on the border, the Turkish border, right?
Yes.
And did they talk about being in the military in Turkey and so forth when you were in Greece?
We talked with one of the member, a young gentleman. He told us his experience. Everybody had to serve, and I think now it's down to 6 months.
No, it's 12 months.
It's 12 months now.
From 9 to 12.
No, back to 12 months again. Yeah. And to me, it's a rite of passage for the young men and women in Greece to serve their country. And I think they learn a lot, a great experience, that to be disciplined. And I see many of them, their military experience.
Okay.
Kind of stay with them. You can see the way they carry themselves.
That's why I told them to ask that question.
Right.
And I can concur to that. In as much as it was not easy, it was much more difficult than one might think. However, I think all male supposed to go to the military at least for a year.
For a year.
Should go.
They become a true men.
Good. I know. I remember you said that when I talked to you about that. You went to Olympia. What was the Olympia about? What was
the ancient Olympia?
Yeah, the Olympia.
Well, I would like to have the mayor explain.
Okay, real quick, because I have 5 minutes, but I want to ask you about the American Olympics.
The ancient Olympia, that's probably one of the best experience we walked through. We went to the
stadium?
The stadium, the theater also.
Did you run in the stadium?
We'll get there. So we get to the theater, and one of the hosts, he just started to sing like an operatic voice. Beautiful song, right?
No kidding.
By George in Greek. He sing an opera song, beautiful voice. I don't know where. Then afterward, we have to test that because in the Olympic Games, you want strong athletes, and if you win, basically your city feel like you don't need to build the walls anymore because you have strong athletes protecting your city.
Good point.
Yeah.
So Mr. Mattheos
You don't have to
here,
build an acropolis. in your city.
my son Mattheos also, and then another female host. They had a race in that
Inside.
marathon, that race, and you were racing against a 15-year-old boy.
But at the end, when I was coming back, I felt it.
You made a comeback at the end, though. he didn't have the endurance. The young man.
We went all the way,
Yeah, the
back
young
and
man-
forth.
No, I know. I know. I've been there.
The young man had the
I ran
speed,
that.
but,
I ran,
he
I
didn't
ran
have
it
the
one way.
endurance.
I ran it one way.
But young Mattheos beat the old Mattheos.
Yeah. You caught up at the end, right?
At the end.
Okay.
Endurance.
All right, tell me about the American Embassy. I have 4 minutes. I mean, tell me that experience. You went in and saw the American ambassador?
Sure. It was very important for our delegation to visit the U.S. Embassy.
Security?
The U.S. ambassador, they represent the United States.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's not so much for security. It's always good when you visit another country
Right.
to let the embassy know that we're present. But also, more importantly, it was meaningful in the sense that we established a relationship. While the U.S. ambassador, he has his role to deal with the country's interests, but also to speak with him, discuss that there are individuals like us from a city. We do the same thing at a smaller level, and to see what his thoughts were. And he was very, very gracious. He invited us to his residence.
His residence?
His residence, yeah.
Where's his residence?
Behind the
Oh, was it
embassy.
behind the embassy?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know it
behind
was
the embassy.
there.
Beautiful place.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Was
and
it-
we expect to meet with him for maybe about 30 minutes at most. He's very, very busy.
He was knowledgeable about Lowell. He knew
Very, very
the
Lowell.
players in Lowell.
We ended up meeting for about two hours.
Wow.
So we had great conversations with him, and like you mentioned, and Dimitrios mentioned, he knew a lot about Lowell. He gave a lot of credit to Lowell, to the Greek Americans in Lowell, and he knows all the stakeholders and the players in Lowell. So he was very, very happy that we visit him as well.
Right.
And it was an honor for us as well.
And I was moved to see that our mayor presented the ambassador with gifts in a bag that comes out of the market basket.
No kidding.
Yeah, and
Did you give him the key to the city?
Made me my heart beating higher that moment, and
So-
he acknowledged that because he knows a lot of the people that we've been living with in the city of Lowell. So he's been by here. He told us about Route 3, 93, Route 3, Chelmsford
495.
Street that goes into Lowell. He knows about
Wow.
many people, and this is when we took the opportunity to invite him for next April when we have the parade to be present.
Breaking news. The American ambassador to Greece is going to come to Lowell, Massachusetts in April, hopefully.
We were told.
Okay.
Yeah, we invite him to come visit Lowell because every year around, is it in April?
April.
There's the Greek parade, the Greek
Independence Day, March
in
25th.
Boston, and that's huge. And
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to participate last year, and I think the senator joked about it. And when I was there last year, I noticed the same thing. It was like a long line of parade coming. Was it Boylston Street?
Boylston.
Yeah, and it was never ending.
That's in Boston, the
Yeah.
parade in Boston.
Yeah, and
The Independence Day is
they
usually
close
in
it.
April.
Right, it's
Yeah.
huge, it's long, and I thought it was never ending. I thought it was going to be maybe like 1 hour, but ended up being like, 3 hours? And I thought people keep on going in circles, but different people,
Tell
different
me,
organization.
I have less than a minute. Tell me what the ambassador did for you when you left the embassy.
Oh, that's wonderful. We were
We'll
waiting
end it
for,
on that.
We were waiting for taxis, and so the ambassador came out and tried to hail a taxi for us, and we were on a small street, so there were not that many taxis, so he came try to hail the taxi. There were not too many taxis, so he had a security person go close off the street, the main street, redirect the taxi to come our way until we finally caught a taxi. So-
Wow.
As a final note, I would like to make our people know the intention and the results that will be coming out of this sisterhood with Kalamata. We'd like to
You got 10 seconds.
We'd like to see